Yes, I actually am the Special Assistant on Innovation and Entrepreneurship to His Excellency the Vice President. And in the last 3 years, we've made appreciable progress in a lot of the programs that we're working on. For example, you will remember that one of the key things that the Vice President had mentioned is that we will be supporting private sector-led innovation hubs across the country. The aim is to support a total of 8, 6, one in each of the 6 geopolitical zones, and then 1 in Lagos and Abuja. So far on this, we had to go through, of course, a couple of iterations, which includes understanding what had happened before and ensuring that we're doing things right this time. Now, one of the key things that came out of that process, which we did with the support of Accenture and Dalberg, is that it's important that government supports those who are already within the ecosystem instead of government running its own show. So in areas where there's not that much activity yet, government is supposed to catalyze that. So if you go to places like the Northeast, for example, we had the program which we call the Northeast Makeathon, which is supporting humanitarian innovation. If you go to, for example, Lagos, we're partnering with the Lagos Business School to set up a climate innovation center which will focus on climate businesses. If you go to places like the Southeast and the North Central, we're working with emerging platforms who are the parent company for Ventures Platform, to support startups within those regions, to support economic activity in those regions. So in the Southeast, for example, you will see us supporting startups that are being innovative and doing innovative stuff around commerce and agriculture and manufacturing. And if you go to the North Central, you see that there's a heavier focus on agriculture in the North Central, because these are the key economic activities that are within these regions.
All right, Ife, what were the criteria used in the features of this all-important task?
So the criteria used, if I heard you right, so first and foremost, we have 2 different methods. So there's a criteria used in selecting the private sector entities that we're working with, which is going through the federal government's due process procurement, which is a law in the country, which means before you select any private sector entity to work with, you need to advertise in newspapers. These people then need to submit their bids, which includes technical bid that show that they have the technical capacity to do the job, and includes a financial bid which shows that they also have the financial capacity to do the job. So we went through this process, advertised in the dailies for about 6 weeks, had companies submit their bids. We had the professionals within the government agencies go through the process and select who finally comes out. But we also have criteria for selecting the startups that we work with. So one very key thing for us here is that we're not dictating for the companies on what to do. We're supporting those who are already within the system and doing things right. All we want to do is to ensure that the right people are engaged. So these companies have their own strict selection processes, which involves application, involves the use of private sector professionals to look through those applications and decide the people who need to be supported. And it's very easy because the key thing is that your idea must be innovative. It must be scalable, which means it must be able to grow really quick, and it must have an impact. It must be able to impact your immediate local community. But beyond that, it must also have the potential to become a global business, which means you're thinking local, but you're focusing on being the next $1 million company.
Very good. Now, how long did it take to arrive at the findings of this exercise?
Sorry, can you come again?
How long did it take to arrive at the findings of this exercise?
At the findings, it's been a process. So we had a couple of weeks that was spent understudying the innovation ecosystem within the country, and this involved going around all the regions in the country, looking at what exists, looking at who is being involved in tech activity here, who is being involved in innovative activity here, who are those supporting entrepreneurs here, and what are the government agencies here doing, and who are the government agencies directly responsible for this. So it involved engagement with the private sector, with government, with development partners, and with ordinary Nigerians themselves. It involved extensive interviews. It involved extensive research into the economic activities in each of those regions. So that took us a couple of weeks. But I think the longest part of this has been the procurement process, which has taken longer than we envisaged. And that has been mostly due to the fact that this is it's a very delicate topic, and it's something that we have to ensure that we get right. So it's taken us quite a bit of time to get from the moment the Vice President made the declaration in 2016 to the moment we are now when we're about to kickstart the project.
Very good. Now, talk to us on the government support for the tech startups in Nigeria. How will it end up?
So if I heard you right, you asked about government support for tech startups in Nigeria.
Yes.
Well, government has done quite a number of things. And, you know, for the first time in this country, we have a government that is interested in technology from the top level. So you have a president and a vice president that are directly involved in supporting technology startups. And I mean, this has been proven over time. For example, in 2016, we had the Aso Villa Demo Day where we had the president meet with the top 30 participants from the project. We had the vice president himself attend the grand finale. He invited Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Facebook, to accompany him on that visit, and these guys were able to pitch their products to the vice president directly. So for the first time, we're getting direct support, and one of the key things that the ecosystem needs is that direct interest from the highest level of government. And I think this government has shown that, and you can see the results of that. Not long after that, we had the Google CEO visit Nigeria. We've had top people from Cisco, top people from Microsoft. You know, we've had direct engagement with more hubs and with more of the players in the ecosystem in Nigeria. And you can even see that in the kind of monies that people are raising. We have Flutterwave that has raised quite a bit of money. We have Andela that has raised, and when I'm saying a bit of money, I mean these guys have raised money in the tens of millions of dollars that have come into support their businesses. And most of these funds are actually foreign direct investments. We have organizations, hubs, for example, like Ventures Platform, that has been driving local support and local investment in startups. And all this is because there's been direct interests from government. Beyond the Aso Villa Demo Day, we went on and supported about 79 of those startups. They were given grants. They've received the first tranche of the grants, and they're in the process. We're in the process of concluding the procedures for them to get the second tranche of the grants. And when the grants are fully issued, we're looking at a total of about $3 million that will have been given out to startups. But beyond that, we're laying a foundation, a fundamental foundation that says to people that if you're able to think out of the box, if you're able to innovate, if you're able to come up with something different, the government is going to back you, the government is going to support you, and the government is going to give you the aid. And this is going to be done further with our continuing support with the hubs, with those within the ecosystem, with those who are currently active within the ecosystem, that if you could do 10 before, we want to support you to do 20. If you could do 20 before, we want to support you to do 40. So I think that's a very important thing to mention.